All right, what is up, everyone? Today is Tuesday, which means it is time for another live Q&A all about dropshipping. That's what this channel is mainly about, dropshipping on different marketplaces like eBay and Facebook Marketplace, but we definitely talk about other ways to make money online as well, a little bit of Amazon FBA, other stuff like that. So if that interests you and you have any questions about those things and you want answers in real time, this is what that time is for. This is a live chat where you can just jump into the chat, ask me what questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them for you live. Right now, I do these every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So let me go into the chat, see who's here. Real quick, guys, if you get any sort of value today, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and then subscribe to the channel. All right, Robert is here. Robert says, register with the state 3 weeks ago. They told us they are behind. Start a dropshipping business. Do we get? Yeah, so that's awesome that you guys are actually staying on top of that, Robert. So what Robert's doing here is he's setting up a business before he gets started with his dropshipping business, forming like an actual business with his state before actually getting started with it. You don't actually have to go that route. You can just jump right into it and start doing it, start selling as yourself, as an individual. But there are definitely some benefits to setting up a business first and running your dropshipping business under that legal entity. There are potentially some protections if you do it that way. There are potentially some tax benefits. All these things you have to kind of talk to a CPA and a lawyer about for your exact circumstances. But it's always a good idea to have some sort of legal entity that you're operating under. But many people don't do that. And that's how they're able to just jump into it, get started right away. And then after they see some success, then they might go ahead and start that business with their state. It really depends on you and kind of your kind of patience and risk aversion that you have. But there's no wrong way to go about that at all. So I think it's smart what you're doing. George says, hey, Paul, great video about ChatGPT. Can I use the same method for Facebook Marketplace dropshipping? Yeah, absolutely. So recently I made a video here on YouTube. I released it all about how you can use ChatGPT to actually help you with your dropshipping business. I kind of did some experiments in there, seeing where we can use it effectively. And it was pretty remarkable, the results that I was seeing from it. So the first thing that I thought was really cool is that you can just kind of go in there and chat with ChatGPT and say like, hey, what is dropshipping? What is eBay dropshipping? What supplier should I dropship from? The bad part about that is that the information that it gives you is very generic, very broad and generic. And it's usually the advice that you'll hear like most commonly, which unfortunately I don't think is always the best advice at all. So when I asked ChatGPT like which suppliers should I dropship from on eBay, it told me things like AliExpress and things like that, Alibaba, which again aren't the worst places to dropship from, but it's certainly not what I prefer. And it's not where I see people having the most success, which is from retail suppliers based here in the United States. So that kind of information, like kind of using it for information, like learning how to do drop shipping, I don't think was very good. But what it was really good at was kind of actually more creative stuff. So we used it to help us build titles for our eBay listings and the descriptions as well. And in particular, it was scary good at writing descriptions for products. Now, descriptions for products are something that I've never really spent time optimizing before. So we would grab items from like Walmart, Home Depot, Amazon.com, whatever the descriptions were, we would just use the same ones on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. And that's because reworking those descriptions would take too much time and effort. But now with ChatGPT, it's able to rewrite them and make them better like that quickly. So it actually would be worth your time now just to spend a few seconds having ChatGPT rewrite that stuff for you, which is really, really cool to see. So you can definitely do that. I experimented with it for eBay dropshipping, but you could definitely do it with Facebook Marketplace dropshipping as well. I would also say, though, that the title building that it did was just okay. I think you can definitely do it better on your own. So what I mean by that is when you are dropshipping, again, pulling these products from other websites, Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, AliExpress, wherever, the titles that are given to you oftentimes aren't really good, especially if you get them from like AliExpress. They often aren't great titles. And so we rework those titles. We call it title optimization. It's where we get rid of words that aren't necessary, that people aren't going to be searching for, and we fill that title with keywords that people are going to be searching for when they're looking for those items. And we use some tools to do that. There's a title builder tool built into Zeek Analytics, for instance, that will tell you how often certain terms, keywords are searched for. And then you can use those same keywords in your title. But ChatGPT, it doesn't have access to that data. So it didn't do a great job of building the titles, to be honest. It was like okay, but it wasn't great. So I thought it was great. Probably the main thing is for reworking the descriptions, and that's it. But that's a huge thing, right? Because that could be something that new we can add into the mix that we weren't really able to do before. But that's certainly something you can do with Facebook Marketplace dropshipping. Because let me know, like, a lot of people are talking now about AI and ChatGPT. If you guys watch that video, let me know like what you thought about it, and if you want me to do another experiment like that, maybe with Facebook or something else, and seeing how we can rework things to have ChatGPT help us and kind of take the heavy lifting off of ourselves. Hey, what's up, everyone? Good to see you. Okay, I didn't see your question above. I don't know what happened there. Is AutoDS has a filter that can automatically change all my product prices to lower with one click? So there may be a way to achieve what you're looking for. So AutoDS is the software that we use to kind of automate our eBay dropshipping stores. So you can go in there and just change the settings, the default settings. So like raise or lower how much profit margin you're making, or how much your break even is, or different fees. You can go into your settings and do that. And that might accomplish what you're looking for. I'm not sure based on the limited information I have. So that would be the first thing that I would kind of look for. Hey, thanks for coming back, asking questions. Okay, Haley says, can you explain what and how the forum works for students? Is it the circle thing? I feel like when I post something, I'm not getting responses. Do I need to ask the manager that you hired for question? Okay, so when you join my course, either one of my courses, my eBay course or my Facebook Marketplace dropshipping course, you will instantly get access to an online forum. It's a separate website that is just for people who have signed up for the course. If you sign up for the eBay course, you'll get access to the eBay section. If you sign up for the Facebook course, you'll get access to the Facebook section, or you can get access to both if you're a member of both courses. And when you're in there, you can go in there and ask questions and help other students who have asked questions, post up your results. There's a lot of people in there, kind of helping each other out. And that is hosted with a service called Circle that kind of makes it easy for me to create that forum. If you're not getting any responses, there could be something wrong. I'm not sure why that's happening, because I go in there every day and check. I always see, hey, are there any questions here that other people haven't answered? Or I'll chime in even if they have. But I'm going in there every day now and checking to see if there's any questions that were unanswered, and I'll answer them myself. And my assistant helps with that as well. So I'm not sure why you're not getting a response. Every question should get a response. So maybe yours aren't showing up, because I don't remember seeing any of yours myself. But the other thing I'll say is that we are looking at moving that to Discord. It would be moving away from that website onto something like Discord. And if you're not familiar with Discord, it's kind of like a forum, kind of like a chat room sort of thing. And the benefit of that is that a lot of people already have Discord on their computers and on their phones because they use it for other things, for other communities. And it has a lot of things built in to really help it kind of build up a community. So I'm hoping that switching to Discord will kind of get more students to actually use it, and it'll be easier to check it every day without having to have a separate app on your phone. But I am running into some difficulties figuring out how to set that up. I don't want to run into the same problem we had when we used to have a Facebook group for paid students, which is that we had so many people in there that somehow snuck in, even though they weren't supposed to be in there because they weren't paid members, and they would spam things in there. So it's just kind of tricky figuring that out. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. Greg says, in your very first week of dropshipping where you made your first $600, were you using any software at all? I think you mean Facebook Marketplace dropshipping. Either way, with Facebook Marketplace and eBay dropshipping, in the very beginning, I was not using any software at all. And that's because it didn't exist at those times. There was definitely no software for Facebook Marketplace dropshipping, I don't think. And with eBay dropshipping, there may have been software that exists, but I didn't know about it, so I wasn't using it at that time. And I wish it did exist because it would have made my life a lot easier. Hey, what's up, Angie? Good to see you. All right. I love this question. Raz says, hello, Paul. I'm about to look into getting my first virtual assistant or VA. Is there anything I should look out for besides the general things like internet speed? What would raise a red flag when you're looking to hire a virtual assistant, a VA? So we hire these virtual assistants or VAs to help us run our dropshipping stores. And we hire them from countries like the Philippines. You could also hire some from India or different places like that. And the reason we do that is because those the cost of living in those countries are lower, so we don't have to pay the same wage that we would pay an employee here in the United States. Plus, when you hire someone from over there, you can avoid other stuff potentially like different payroll, putting them on payroll and payroll taxes and all that sort of stuff. So it kind of takes the headache off of that. They're just independent contractors that you're hiring and working with. And the cool thing is that because dropshipping is entirely online, it's totally digital, this is something that we can do from anywhere in the world or have someone else help us do it from anywhere in the world. It's not like they have to be here in our home next to us on a desk in order to help us. So really cool that we're able to do that. And, but the important thing is making sure that you hire virtual assistants that are going to work for you and your business or your store. So the things I would look out for when hiring a virtual assistant is, number one, you really have to make sure that they are responsive. So when you are chatting with them, like interviewing them, when you're the interview to hire them, you want to see like, hey, if I send you a message, if you send them a message, how quickly are they getting back to you? Are their answers well thought out, or are they just kind of giving you the bare minimum? So for instance, I remember the last time I hired a virtual assistant, I was going through the interviews. I had a whole list of candidates, and one looked really good on paper, but when I started chatting with her, it was all over Skype Messenger. We weren't even video chatting, it was just Messenger. And I asked her a question. She would take about 5 minutes to respond. And sometimes the answer would just be one short sentence. And I'm thinking to myself, if I hire this person, it is going to be such a grind, so difficult, I should say, for me to be able to communicate with them. That's not what I wanted to do. All the virtual assistants that I have right now that I work with, when I message them, they'll message me back right away as long as they are actually working at that time. And they're very responsive. They are able to communicate in English very well. And they really want to make my life easier, which is something I really appreciate, right? Because that's the reason I'm hiring them. For them to make my life easier, to take burdens off of me so I can concentrate on other areas of my business or less on my business overall. So as long as you have that and kind of looking for a virtual assistant with that attitude or with that mindset, it's going to be a good match. And then, of course, you have to make sure that they also have the qualifications. They're also able to do the task that you're hiring them for. Now, once you kind of get like all those criteria, all those boxes checked, hire them on a trial basis. Say, hey, I'm going to hire you for a couple of weeks, see how it goes. And, at the end of the 2 weeks, I'll decide. And during those 2 weeks, other problems might come up, or you might see that, hey, they're really good, or hey, they're not perfect, but I think I can work with them and really make them a rock star virtual assistant. And for me, that's what it's all about. I'm always looking for those rock star virtual assistants. In the past, I kind of settled a bit more, kind of gave people a chance, but all that did was cost me money, give me a bigger headache, and ultimately I had to let that virtual assistant go because it wasn't working out. It wasn't a good fit. But if I spent a little bit more time during the hiring process, that's when I was able to find the rockstar virtual assistants, the one that really wanted to help me, the ones that wanted to go above and beyond, and that really proved to me that they wanted to work with me. And those are the ones that I kept on for the long term, that I still have now. So some good questions to ask them. Ask them about their experience, ask them very specific questions in some cases. Like you can say, hey, I have this item here. What would you do when listing this item? What would you look for? You want to hear things like they'll check how many times it's sold. From other sellers, they'll optimize the title, like different things like that. You want to look at. You want to ask them what software they're familiar with. And again, just gauge their responses and how quickly they're getting back to you and how easy it is for you to communicate with them. Cred says, I think I recall you saying that you don't use nor find it necessary to use any ads or promotions dropshipping on Facebook and eBay. Is that because the market is there for us already? So I've said that for Facebook Marketplace. Sorry, I got an ice cube in my mouth. So for Facebook Marketplace, they have a boost function. And the boost function I haven't found to be necessary because, sorry, I'm going to get rid of this ice cube. Because there are so many sales already coming in organically on Facebook. On eBay, we do use promoter listings just to help us rank higher. All right, so another great question from Lisa in New York City that's also about virtual assistants. Kind of gave a lot of information already, but let me answer these specific questions you had. You said you waited too long to hire one. Can you elaborate? Says Lisa. Yeah, so when it comes to virtual assistants, the two biggest problems I see, the first biggest problem is people waiting too long to hire one, and the second problem is people hiring them too early. The second one, hiring too early, isn't a huge mistake because you will eventually need a virtual assistant, or I think you should hire one, but it can be kind of a waste of money for a bit until you actually grow your store. And it's also a waste because you'll probably hire a virtual assistant that is not going to be a good fit because you don't know what it is that you're looking for. You can't outsource a project or a task when it comes to what we do with dropshipping until you know how to do it yourself. So you might be hiring a virtual assistant that really isn't qualified to do the work because you don't know what it is to look for. You get what I mean? So first mistake, just make sure that before you start hiring virtual assistants or thinking about it, that you understand it yourself. You don't need to be like a professional dropshipper, but you have to have had at least some success to prove to yourself, okay, I know how to do this, and now I'll be able to teach it to someone else. Once you get to that point, you could think about hiring a virtual assistant. What I did was I waited too long, meaning I was working at the time a full-time job, a 9-to-5 job. I was doing this dropshipping thing on the side, pretty much doing it all myself. And then the dropshipping thing really took off. And so now I'm waking up early to dropship, working at my job, lunch break, drop shipping, working at my job, drop shipping after work. And it was just like so much time putting into it because I had to find products to list them up, optimize the titles, then fulfill orders as well. And I got to a point where we were getting so busy, all I was spending my time doing was fulfilling orders. I didn't have time for anything else, and I barely had time for that. And I would just be working till like right up until bedtime. So it wasn't sustainable at all. And then I started thinking about hiring a virtual assistant, but I started thinking to myself, I don't have time to train a virtual assistant because I'm too busy running my store. You don't want to get to that point. Okay, that's the point where that's when I said I waited too long. You don't want to get to that point. So I suggest that once you start seeing some success and you're like, hey, I understand this, it's working, my store's starting to grow, that's when you want to hire a virtual assistant. And what people misunderstand about this is that you don't have to hire a full-time VA right away. You can hire them on a part-time basis. Say, hey, I just need you for 10 hours a week, 5 to 10 hours a week to kind of help me fulfill orders or help me do product research, okay? And then as your store grows, you can give them more hours and more hours and more hours, and suddenly they're full-time. So that's kind of the approach that I would give. Now, this has actually gotten easier and easier as time has gone on because now we have services like AutoDS, which can automatically order items for us. So as much as you can, I would put stuff on software because software is more automated and you don't have to actually hire someone to do it. But after that, anything else the software can't do, that's what a virtual assistant's for. All right, Raz says, do you know what privacy cards are? And if so, what is your opinion on them? Yeah, so privacy cards are, well, I believe you're talking about virtual credit cards. And virtual credit cards are basically, you sign up for these services. It's like a website you sign up for, and you enter in your real credit card information, or it might be your debit card information. And then the website will give you these virtual credit card numbers. It's a credit card number that you can use on any website to purchase an item, but they don't actually mail you a physical card. So the cool thing about this is that it kind of allows you to be a little bit more anonymous shopping online because you don't even need to enter in your real name or billing information. You can just use fake stuff. So there's a little bit more of that anonymity, and it allows you to kind of segment off things. So let's say you're shopping on one website and it looks a little shady. You're like, oh, I don't know about this website. You can get one of these virtual cards, use that information on there. So if that's compromised, if that was a shady website, all you have to do is go on the virtual credit card website and deactivate that one card. And that's all you have to do. And then that website is now cut off. They don't have any of your other information. That's the primary use of them, like the intended use. Dropshippers have used them for other reasons, like getting around certain bans on websites that don't let you create too many accounts or buy the same product too many times, different things like that. I found them to be really hit or miss. One website that's very popular for it is called privacy.com. And I just found it to be a bit hit or miss, where you'll try to use the virtual credit cards and the website won't let you use them. It's like they know that it's a virtual credit card and don't want you to use it. So yeah, it works sometimes, it doesn't. I think for maybe what we do is drop shipping, it doesn't work as much, but maybe for the more like consumer use and you want that anonymity, I'm sure it works fine. I don't use it a ton because if I'm buying something and shipping it to my house, they have my address anyway, my name, so there's no point in really hiding it. And with credit cards, when you're using a credit card to fulfill orders, if there is something wrong and there was something fraudulent that happened, you can just cancel that card. You can get the credit card company to issue a chargeback. Yes, it's a pain, but yeah, that works just fine. Hey, what's up, Angelique? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. You're not too stressed out about everything. know you had some big plans coming up. Chime to Philly. No, I'm not familiar with that. I'm sure it's similar to like AutoDS or some of the other services, but I don't know that one. Bob and Jen. Hey, Paul, when listing a product on Facebook Shops, when they ask for the brand, are we supposed to put the real brand name or no? I just put my store name as a brand. Is that correct? Thanks in advance. So there are two schools of thought on this, Tony. Whether you should use brand names when drop shipping. Pros and cons to both. So the benefit of using a brand name is that if it's a brand that people know and trust, then it increases the chances that a potential person will actually buy from you, right? Because they'll see that brand, it's something they want, and so they buy it. The benefit to not using any brand names is really more about protection. There are some brands that really don't want you to use their stock images and stock descriptions without their permission. So on eBay, those fall under the eBay Vero program. And so when it falls under that, you really shouldn't sell those brands at all. But if you are, you should get rid of the brand name. So that's harder for them to find your items. And generally, even though you could do it with Facebook doesn't have a Vero program. It's probably not the smartest idea. So in that way, it's smart to kind of get rid of the brand entirely. Also, unless it's a well-known brand, the brand isn't really going to help you. So it can't really hurt to get rid of the brand name in those situations. So I'm more of the opinion to just get rid of the brand because, again, a lot of the brands I'm selling are brands people haven't heard of, so they don't really, not going to help me if the brand name is there. And for the ones they have heard of, it's probably not a good idea to keep them on there for the reasons I mentioned before. ChatGPT has a waiting list. Yeah, they've become very popular recently. So I would not be surprised by that. How to handle returns, AutoDS to eBay. Thanks. So returns on eBay are really, really simple. So again, we're just drop shipping from retail websites like Walmart, Home Depot, Amazon. And so returns are really simple because all you have to do is go to those websites, chat with them, or if you want, call them, but you can usually just chat or email them and say, hey, I want to return this item. Here's the order number. They'll give you a prepaid return label, which you can then send to the buyer on eBay, and then they'll send it back to the retail website. Retail website will refund you, and you can refund the customer, and that's it. Now with AutoDS, if you set up auto ordering with AutoDS, so they are placing the orders for you, then when you want to return the item, all you have to do is go into your orders on AutoDS, click a drop down. There's different rows with all your orders. In the middle of the row is a drop down for the status of it, and you could change it to returned. And then you can come back the later that day or the next day, and they'll have the return label that you can then download and send to your buyer, the same way I mentioned before. All right. Sure, I lost my place again. All right, I think it's somewhere around here. Johnny says, how important is the word new in your titles or listings? Not very important, Johnny. So you might see people do this on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, and they'll put the word new in their titles. And the thought behind it is that people shopping, they might want a new item. They don't want to buy used ones. And a lot of items that you buy on eBay and Facebook Marketplace are used. So that helps them, the listing stand out and says to the consumer, hey, I'm not selling a used one. This is a brand new one. So I know people do that. I haven't found that to really make a difference at all. I would prefer to use that space for actual words that people are going to be searching for, because they can filter buy used and new items. So it's just kind of redundant to put the word new in the title. Yes, some great videos out there about drop shipping with ChatGPT. Dennis says, I've had a premium store since 2011 and have never drop shipped. I get 65,500 free listings and only list 500. Can I use AutoDS to list more without? Oh, and you already have 500. So, as long as you have added items to your store, it sounds like you have 500, then you should be fine. I would still not just come out and list 6,000 all at once. But yeah, you can use AutoDS to list items and move a little bit faster than most sellers who are just starting drop shipping. Where do you find wholesale suppliers and how do you contact them? So wholesale suppliers they're not the same thing as retail suppliers, because retail suppliers are like, again, Home Depot, Walmart, Amazon.com. Wholesale, they are higher up on the chain of production, right? Items are made by the manufacturer. They're sent to suppliers, wholesale suppliers, and those wholesale suppliers are then the ones that distribute the items to Walmart and Home Depot and like all these other stores who then will sell it directly to the public, retail. When they sell directly to the public, that is considered retail. When they sell to other stores, the more like a distributor, that is wholesale. Now, wholesale has some benefits. Primarily, the biggest one is that the items are cheaper when you buy them from wholesale. But the difficulty with wholesale is that they don't sell directly to the public. So you have to prove to the wholesaler that you aren't a consumer and that you are going to be reselling these items or that you're going to be drop shipping these items. And so to do that, you have to set up a legal entity like an LLC and get your tax exempt certificates, because all those things are things that the wholesalers are going to be asking for to prove that you're a real business. So you get all that, and then you actually have to find the wholesale suppliers. So this can be the most difficult part. Actually setting up a business like an LLC is actually not that difficult in most states, but finding the wholesale suppliers, that is a tricky part. But it's also like the golden goose part, because if you find a good wholesale supplier, that's like your golden ticket, right? Most people aren't going to do the work to find the wholesale supplier, but if you're able to do it and you actually put in that work and find a good one, you're going to be selling products that almost no one else is going to be selling on eBay. So it gives you a huge competitive advantage. Now, how to find these wholesale suppliers? There's a few different ways to do it, but what I think is probably the most straightforward and fastest way to do it is with trade shows. Now, I'm not saying you have to go to a trade show. What I'm saying is find different trade shows, like you can search for pet supply trade shows. Find a trade show that happened recently or it's going to happen. Go on the trade show's website and look at all the vendors that are going to be there, because that will be a huge list of people, wholesalers, that could potentially drop ship items for you. So you can contact them and say, hey, do you do drop shipping? And kind of explain your situation. You'll probably get a lot of no's, people that say no, or companies that say no. But maybe for every 30 no's, you get that one yes. So that sounds like it's going to be hard, and it will be hard. It will take time to do it. But all you need is a couple of yeses for the right suppliers, and you hit the jackpot. So just keep that in mind as you go through and start to get frustrated, because you probably will. It was very frustrating, but you will eventually find him. Yeah, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. We only have 15 thumbs up. Would appreciate a couple more if you guys are enjoying the content. I love my virtual assistant. Esther says, I have AutoDS. Can I end my listings that haven't sold and put sell similar in eBay? And how will this affect the way it is listed on my AutoDS platform? I wouldn't do that, Esther. If you're going to end your listing, it's easier just to put a new item or the same item into AutoDS and have it listed again. So if you list items with AutoDS, so again, AutoDS is what we use to list items. Once we list it with it, it will reprice and restock the items if any of that changes on like Walmart or Amazon or Home Depot or whatever. And so it's kind of like this robust automation tool. So anytime I list items with AutoDS, if I need to delete that item from my eBay store, I just delete it from AutoDS, and AutoDS will make sure it's removed from eBay. If I change anything, I change it in AutoDS and it changes on eBay. So just always do it on AutoDS. So when I delete an item, I would delete it from AutoDS, and then if I want to relist it, I just add it as a new item in AutoDS, and it will list that item. So it's just very, very simple and straightforward. So that's the way I would do it. Black God says, how do you stay up to date with new dropshipping trends and potential improvements and whatnot? For example, like ChatGPT. It's a good question. So there's a lot that can change with dropshipping, that has changed with dropshipping over the years. So it is important to stay on top of it and know everything that's going on so that you can always make sure that your store is running as optimally as it can, and that you have all the latest kind of strategies and tactics going on. There's a lot of information out there, and a lot of it, quite frankly, is bad information, kind of like red herrings, where you'll think it's something good and you go down the path and realize that this is not helpful at all. It could be like a full-time job, and it pretty much is a full-time job for me. Like, that's what I do. I'm the one, I do this full-time. So I'm the one who goes and researches this stuff, hears about different rumors, goes down those rabbit holes, goes down like these different paths to figure out, hey, I heard about ChatGPT. Is that something we could actually use for drop shipping? I do the research, I do the testing, and then I bring that information to you guys. And that's what I do. That's what a lot of these other YouTubers who talk about drop shipping do as well. So that you don't have to spend the time doing that, because I know most of you don't do this full time. And this is something that I'm able to do full time, so I can kind of bring you that information. So I guess the short answer is subscribe to my YouTube channel. Sherry Yang says, what are you still planning to have the coaching program, mentorship? If so, when do you plan on launching the program? Yeah, this is something I talked about last year, and I am opening this up. So if you are interested in one-on-one coaching with me, then you should reach out to me. Best way is on Instagram at Paul J Lipsky, but you can also email me, paul@pauljlipsky.com. That's the best way to get in contact with me, and I'll tell you more about the coaching program. But it will be one-on-one, mentorship, intensive mentorship is a word I want to use. And it's really to help you get from where you are now to where you want to be with your dropshipping success. And I've done one-on-one coaching like this in the past. It's been tremendously successful for the students that have done it. So now's the time when I'm opening it back up. So if you're interested in that coaching, the one-on-one coaching, you can message me at Paul J Lipsky on Instagram or paul@pauljlipsky.com. It is a commitment, and it is a financial commitment as well, because it will be one-on-one time with me. And the more that you commit financially, the more likely it is that you will actually follow through and actually try to get results and, do the work necessary to get results, I should say. So it's not going to be like a $500 thing or even $1,000 thing. It's going to be more than that. So if that's something that you're interested in, then definitely reach out. If that's too much for you, then you should check out my courses, which I really created to provide a ton of value in an automated fashion so that it can be cheaper for you, more affordable for you, while still providing some great content and up-to-date information. Black God says, what is your opinion on API versus non-API in regards to eBay dropshipping in 2023? So I'm of the opinion now that API is totally fine. I haven't seen any issues with it. I'm just trying to think in my head how much I want to go in depth and explain this whole backstory, because it's quite a convoluted quite a convoluted backstory to it. But I know not all of you are familiar with it, so I'll quickly explain it. So when I first started dropshipping on eBay, there was no software. Everything was done manually. As time went on, software began to become available. And what the software would do is it would connect with eBay using eBay's API. That meant that in the background, the software was connected with eBay. It was like a seamless direct integration, direct connection, and I could turn off my computer and the software would still talk to eBay. So if any prices changed on Walmart, the software would automatically upload the new price to eBay, even if I was asleep and my computer was off. And as time went on, we began to believe that eBay was penalizing us for using that software. So we started using software that was non-API, that didn't connect through the API program. It sent the information other ways, like using a Chrome extension. This kind of hid the fact that we were drop shipping from eBay, but it was a huge pain because we had to leave our computer on all the time for it to work. And it didn't work as well as the API, but we tolerated it for a while. But as more testing went on, as we talked to more people who were using API and not using API, we really found that it didn't make a difference, that we weren't being penalized anymore, or I'm not even sure if we ever were, for using API software. So I started testing it myself, seeing I added API on. I'm like, is this going to hurt my account? And it never did. And I talked to a few other people that I recommended that they try it. They tried it, didn't see any negative impact from using API. So now we're back to using API. And the cool thing is the software has come so far. It has gotten so much better, and it's now connected directly with eBay using the API. So it's completely seamless, and it's just made our lives so much easier as dropshippers because we're able to do so much more with it. List items, reprice, restock, all automatically, auto ordering, all that stuff is done. And we don't even have to log into eBay to do any of that stuff, which is pretty remarkable. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at now with the API versus non-API. And hopefully that's the end of the debate for a long, long time. My Facebook group. Would you consider reopening your Facebook group? No. So the Facebook group, like I said before, that had so many issues with it, just full of spam and people in there that weren't even members of the course. So it was just kind of like a mess in there, which is why I have the private website. But again, I've heard a few people say that, more than a few people say that they feel that the engagement is not as high in the group as they want. And I hear you guys, okay? I'm being 100% honest about that. I think that's my fault, honestly, because I thought this website was like the greatest thing. And now I realize it's not. And it's my fault for not recognizing that earlier, which is why we are looking at moving to Discord. So I take full responsibility for that. But what I will tell you is that we're not going to do the Facebook group because the Facebook group has the same problems it had before, with just difficulty getting the right people in there, the correct people in there, I should say, and problems with spam and stuff like that. So if we do anything, we're looking at doing the Discord group, which I think will really help with engagement because a lot of people already have Discords. And it's kind of like Facebook, but better in many ways. And you can contact me on the forum, and you'll definitely be able to contact me on Discord when that happens. So, I go into the group every day now and check unanswered questions, and there shouldn't be any questions in there that go unanswered. If there are, I'm sorry about that, and I'll double check with myself what I'm doing, with my virtual assistant's doing, that helps me out as well. But we should be getting to every single question that's in there. And that'll definitely happen in the Discord as well, if we go that route. Again, the problem that I have with the Discord, the reason why I'm not sure if that change is going to happen is, one, because it's hard to, you're signing up using a website called Teachable for my course. There's no way for me to get Teachable to talk to Discord. So we would have to manually approve every single person, and that there are problems with that. So that's the first issue. The second issue is that things can get lost in Discord as well. So if we just have like one chat for eBay, someone might ask a question, but if other people are chatting about other stuff, that question will get lost. So I'm a little bit worried about that, to be honest. You know, I don't use Discord a ton, but I do actually go in every day for this one group that I'm part of. And I could definitely see that happening where a question just gets lost because someone asks it and then other people are chatting about other stuff. Now that's kind of gotten lost up there. I won't even see it to know that it's an unanswered question. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys like, for those of you members of my course, what do you think is a good solution for that? Because I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks and I just don't see the great solution. Right now, what we have, because of those concerns, still seems like the best option, although it's not perfect. But I'm open to feedback. I'm open to ideas on that. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. The group for the course. That's on the forum. It's on my website right now. Perhaps he had for over 2 years. Yeah, maybe we'll start using it again some more. What are the best ways to bring traffic if you are a beginner, says Cartoon Master? So a couple of things. One, product research, learning the best ways to find popular items that are selling right now. Two, well-optimized titles, and this is using keyword research. You can use Seek Analytics Title Builder for that. That's the best tool because it tells you how often the terms are searched for. For a free one, you can use Title Builder, which works okay, but it doesn't give you as much data. And then, yeah, those are the main things, but you can also do optimization of the actual description, the price, and item specifics as well. Can I sell surgical instruments? I don't know. I've never tried. Something tells me that that might be a bad idea, but I don't know. Oh, yes, good point. So the privacy cards, Ben, thanks for this reminder, you can set limits on the cards too. So even if there's a breach, the card won't be charged over the limit you set. So you don't even have to cancel it. Yeah, that's a good point. Although if it was breached, I would still cancel it. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, so this is helpful. Like if you are signing up for something with a free trial and you're afraid you're going to forget to cancel it before the trial's over, you can sign up for the free trial and put a limit on it. So the website's only allowed to charge you once and they won't charge you after that. So that's a good use for it. Or again, if you know that this service is supposed to cost $20 a month, you could put a limit so it's only able to charge you $20 or maybe like $22 for tax a month. And if it goes over that, it will get denied. Those are all good uses for it. Yeah, I got to start using it more because it's really robust and I already have an account. So there's a few other ones that people have talked about. I think one is called Hush maybe, but I think Hush you might have to pay for. Yeah. Sean and Irene says, please smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, we are getting there. It should be just another month and a half, 2 months, something like that. And we'll be at 100,000 subscribers. Do you cycle out slow or non-moving listings? Yeah, absolutely. They just take up space, waste space. Pretty much every month, I recommend you go in, look at items that haven't sold in the past month, in the past 30 days, and just delete them from your store. So just kind of a waste. It can hurt your sell-through rate, which some people believe can have an impact on how well your listings do overall. And and it also just costs you more money because you might need a higher store subscription. You might need a higher subscription with AutoDS. So it's better just to delete them out. Getting flagged on eBay account is not a huge deal. It will kind of like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing, because it will slow you down for a bit. But with dropshipping, the cool thing about it is that you can scale up so quickly that you're able to overcome those limitations. With most stores, you would have to go out and source all new products, actually go and physically get those products. But with dropshipping, you can add items so quickly that that's going to overcome it. So I wouldn't stress out about it too much. Just keep going and adding those more products to kind of overcome that obstacle. Blaze says, my account went below standard because I didn't put buyer canceled, instead use a different reason. Best way to get back above standard. So falling below standard really sucks on your eBay account. What I would do is check what all the defects are in your account. If it's just that one, then you're kind of stuck. But if there's other ones, see if you can get those other defects removed. That's the first thing I would do. After that, if you get some removed, it might get you back above standard. But if it doesn't, then it's just a numbers game. You have to sell more products, because then the number of sales that have a defect on them will become a smaller percentage. So it's just about getting more sales, churning them out, so that then you can get above standard. And even if you aren't able to sell a lot, eventually that will fall off as well. I'm going to write myself a note right here, because I was thinking more about that privacy.com website, and I think I might do like a video about that, privacy.com, but I got to test it out because I haven't used it a lot recently. Yeah. I'm able to look at some of the other ones as well. Like I said, Hush, I think, is another one. Okay. What does this mean? I'm not sure what that means. Hey, what's up? Let's see. Can't we just do with her email address if it matches with her? Yeah, but I can't see your email address on Discord. I don't think I can. And some people don't use the same email. So, and I can't ask people to use the same email for both. But I'm figuring it out. I'm thinking about it. I just totally lost my place here. All right, let me just start at the bottom. Where does everyone find their virtual assistants? Onlinejobs.ph is a really great place to look. It is paid, but it ends up being cheaper, because if you hire through something like Upwork, then Upwork takes a cut. So the virtual assistants have to charge more per hour. And I don't like it for that reason, because Upwork actually takes money from the virtual assistants and the workers. And also because I like to hire the virtual assistants directly. And Online Jobs allows me to do that. With Upwork, I feel like they're always still working. They are still working for Upwork, and they're still active on Upwork looking for other jobs. Whereas with me, I hire them directly. They're working full time with me. That's it. Discord would be great. Yeah, I'm just worried about that problem with questions getting lost. Let's see. Now I'm all over the place in this chat. What's your take on Amazon FBA versus eBay dropshipping? Two very different models and similar in some ways. The thing is, Amazon FBA is great. You can build a huge business with Amazon FBA. The problem with it is that it costs a lot of money up front. You have to have that capital to do that. And honestly, with any business like that, you have to be willing to take the risk that you can lose all that money. So with something like drop shipping, it's very low cost to get started, which means the risk is much lower as well. So what I see a lot of people do is they will start a drop shipping business with the intent of using it to build up a lot of capital that they'll then use to buy products for Amazon FBA. Now, that's what I hear people saying they want to do. But inevitably what happens is that they'll start drop shipping, build up a lot of capital, doing well with it, and then realize, wait, why would I stop drop shipping if it's working so well? So they just keep doing it as well. And then maybe add Amazon FBA into the mix as well. So they're both great models. But again, if you don't have money to start, you're not going to be able to do Amazon FBA. And it doesn't get any better then in that situation than eBay drop shipping, where you really don't need a lot of money to really get started with it. Yeah, Robert and Jen, in your situation, I would not, since you're already going through the steps to start a business, I would wait, because it's just going to be a pain to switch things over later. Just wait till you're set up and then actually use that business to set up all your accounts, I should say. All right. So great questions this week, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me, asking your questions, for subscribing to the channel as well. That's it for this week. But if you didn't get your question answered, make sure to come to the next live Q&A. I do them every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you're here, make sure you ask your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.